Are the Boston Celtics the team to beat in the entire NBA? Let's just talk about the ups and downs of this team throughout the past few years. Last year, they were one of the best teams in all of the league. Once the Bucks went down in the playoffs, it felt like it was an easy ride to the finals, but they faced a hot Miami team who stumped them in the playoffs. They started down 3-0, came all the way back. Jayson Tatum got hurt in Game 7, and the Celtics went down. And there were a lot of question marks if the current roster that they had could win a title and get over the hump. Well, Brad Stevens answered a lot of those questions, practically blowing up everything this offseason, trading away the heart and soul of this team, Marcus Smart, for Kristaps Porzingis, dealing a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Robert Williams, and the Sixth Man of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon, off the bench for Drew Holiday, re-signing Peyton Pritchard, adding a few free agent pieces, giving this 2023-24 Boston Celtics team a new look. Now, another huge move that they made was re-signing Jaylen Brown to a supermax contract extension, at the time making him the highest paid player in the entire NBA. Now, there was a lot of controversy around this move, as he's not a top 10 to borderline top 15 player in the league, but he's a young, elite two-way player who can get it done on both sides of the ball and is a piece you absolutely can't let go if you're the Boston Celtics. Now, this Boston Celtics team has been a contender the past few years. 2 years ago with Ime Udoka, went to the finals against the Warriors, went up 2-1, had a home game, and then Stephen Curry happened. They lost. Jayson Tatum had one of the biggest chokes we'd ever seen in the finals, and it was time for him to bounce back. Again, we saw struggles from the Celtics superstars in the playoffs last year. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum would virtually take turns missing games. Tatum wasn't anywhere to be found in the Philadelphia series until late in Game 6 and obviously exploded in Game 7. Jaylen Brown was nowhere to be found in that Eastern Conference series against the Heat, ultimately leading to the Celtics' downfall in that series. But it was time for this Celtics team to get a new identity. With Ime Udoka 2 years ago, when they made their finals run, they were a very solid defensive team, and they really relied on that to win them ball games. Now, with Joe Mazzulla as their head coach, they lived and died by the three ball. But they had one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. And when you have a top 5 player in Jayson Tatum, and arguably the best duo in the league, they're going to be able to overcome team shooting slumps. But at the end of the day, that's not enough to win you a ring. Now, this new Celtics team, they currently have the best record in the NBA, and they look phenomenal. Drew Holiday obviously is one of the most underrated players in the league. He's an elite defensive guard, if not the best defensive guard in all of the league. Now, you pair him with Derek White, and that's the best defensive backcourt in the entire NBA. The other major move that they made to their starting five, Kristaps Porzingis, gives them a 7'4" elite defender, but who can also space the floor, and gives them a great pick and roll option. Now, this Celtics team this year, completely opposite from last year, has an incredible defensive identity with these new pieces that they added. They currently have the best defensive rating in the NBA. They're giving up the second fewest points per game, and they're giving up the second fewest field goal percentage per game. Now, these are very similar numbers and statistics that they were putting up when they made it to the finals a few years ago, and that's got to be very encouraging for any Celtics fan. And I think when you look at this defense, you got to give credit to Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, guys that you know can put up 25 to 30 points per night with ease. But it says a lot when you have a young superstar who's also willing to go give everything he has on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown nearly get enough credit for what they do on defense, and they're making this Boston Celtics team look a lot scarier than they did last year. Now, when I said last year the Celtics lived or died by the three-point line, it was completely true. But this year, they don't die by it as much due to their defense. They currently have the highest percentage of three-point field goals attempted in the entire NBA, but they've been translating it to W's. They're top 10 in points per game, they have the best plus-minus point differential in the league, and they're undefeated at home. Now, in the Eastern Conference, the 76ers have been good, and I'll give them their props. They look a lot better without James Harden. Obviously, Joel Embiid's going to be an MVP contender every single year, and Tyrese Maxey looks like a most improved player of the year candidate. But let's keep it real here. It's between the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference. And when I look at this Celtics team and improved roster, Jayson Tatum is a legitimate MVP candidate. Now, his points per game is currently down from last year, but he's a lot more efficient from the floor, and he's really been a much improved facilitator this year. Kristaps Porzingis is putting up nearly 20 points a game, and he's also having a huge impact for the Celtics team. But I think when you look at the Boston Celtics, they have the best starting five in the entire league. Can they get enough from their bench when it comes down to the postseason? So far, I'm confident that they can. Sam Hauser's been one of the most underrated players in the entire league. And I love Al Horford coming off the bench for this Celtics unit. He brings a great veteran presence for this second unit, and he's a very willing defender and an absolute sniper from the outside. Right now, I think the Boston Celtics are the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference. When you pair them up against the Milwaukee Bucks, I think Milwaukee has started slow, but I think both of these teams will ultimately get better and more cohesive with their new pieces as the season progresses. is Damian Lillard and Giannis have got to be the most scary duo in the league, and they're going to make things tough on the Celtics come postseason time. But I think when you look at the Celtics backcourt to try and smother Dame as much as possible, Derek White and Drew Holiday are absolutely the guys who can slow him down. And in terms of Giannis, Kristaps Porzingis has played a big role on the defensive side of the ball. Tatum and Brown will obviously have to be willing defenders to help throw double teams at him to slow him down as well. But I don't think anybody in the Eastern Conference right now can stop this Celtics team. The team that I'm the most worried about for them is the Denver Nuggets. They've looked absolutely phenomenal this year. Obviously, they haven't had Jamal Murray the past few weeks, and they won't get him back until December. But Jokic is holding it down for the squad, and he looks phenomenal this year. Of course, he's the leading favorite for the MVP this year. And I think if we see an eventual Celtics versus Nuggets finals, it's going to be amazing. Two teams that are great offensively and defensively, who know how to protect their home court. But if you had to ask me the team that I think will win the whole thing this year, it's the Boston Celtics. My one concern for them, which they've looked good in so far, is their closing in the fourth quarter. They've been the best fourth quarter closing team in the league, but I want to see more from Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown in crunch minutes when the Celtics need buckets against good teams. That's how I know this team is ready, and they've improved from last season. So give me the Boston Celtics to win the 2024 NBA title. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.